Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. Thai Sounds reports that Iran's Fars news agency claimed on Monday that a U.S. destroyer, disregarding Iranian warnings, attempted to enter the Strait of Hormuz and was subsequently attacked by two Iranian missiles, forcing the U.S. vessel to turn back. This alleged incident occurred on Monday, May 4, 2026, marking the first day of the U.S. Navy's Operation Freedom mission to escort merchant ships through the critical waterway, following an order from U.S. President Trump. However, the article notes that Iran has a documented history of exaggerating its military claims and battle results. A senior U.S. official, speaking to Axios reporter Barak Ravid, explicitly denied that any such missile attack on a U.S. ship had taken place. Earlier on the same day, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, had published new control zone maps for the Strait of Hormuz, issuing a stern warning that any vessel attempting to enter these zones would face a forceful response. According to CBS News, Iran has issued a stern warning threatening to attack any commercial vessel that attempts to transit the Strait of Hormuz without explicit permission from its military. This threat directly challenges President Trump's newly announced Project Freedom, an operation involving guided missile destroyers, over 100 aircraft, and 15,000 service members aimed at guiding stranded commercial vessels through the strategic waterway. France, through President Macron, has declined to join the U.S. military operation, calling for a coordinated reopening with Iran. CENTCOM has denied Iranian claims of striking a U.S. warship. Amidst these rising tensions, Pakistan facilitated the transfer of 22 crew members from a U.S.-seized Iranian ship, describing it as a confidence-building measure in ongoing, albeit fragile, diplomatic efforts between Washington and Tehran to end the conflict that has led to a naval blockade of Iranian ports and disrupted global oil and gas prices. President Trump has announced a new operation dubbed Project Freedom, aimed at ensuring the safe passage and evacuation of vessels currently stranded in the Strait of Hormuz. The plan, set to begin on Monday, May 4th, Japan time, will involve deploying significant U.S. military assets, including missile destroyers, over 100 aircraft, and 15,000 American personnel. While the U.S. military will guide merchant ships with information on mine-free routes, warships are expected to remain on standby to deter potential Iranian attacks, rather than providing direct escort. Trump has indicated a willingness to use military force if obstructed, maintaining pressure on Iran through a naval blockade. Amidst these tensions, U.S. media reported Iran's potential use of mine dolphins as a new weapon, a claim vehemently denied by the Iranian embassy in Japan as absurd fabrication and U.S. information warfare. Domestically, rising oil prices have had repercussions, with Spirit Airlines halting all flights due to financial strain exacerbated by high fuel costs. Meanwhile, Iran presented a 14-item proposal for a ceasefire, focusing on ending the conflict and lifting the naval blockade, but notably excluded the nuclear issue. President Trump dismissed this proposal as unacceptable, leaving the future of negotiations uncertain. This report is from Itztele News, NNN. UPI reports that a special counsel team in South Korea has uncovered evidence suggesting a military unit made preparations for martial law as early as the first half of 2024. This finding precedes former President Yoon Suk Yeol's actual declaration of martial law in December of the same year. Assistant Special Counsel Kim Ji-mi stated that the signs were confirmed through investigations of military unit officials, though specific details of the preparations were not elaborated. This new information supports an earlier argument by Special Counsel Cho Hyun-suk, who contended that Yoon's martial law bid was planned well in advance, challenging a district court's ruling that Yoon decided on the declaration only 2 days prior. Yoon was sentenced to life imprisonment for leading an insurrection through his decree, and Cho's team has appealed, arguing against the spontaneous response narrative. The Defense Counterintelligence Command is implicated for its alleged role in martial law operations, including attempts to send troops to the National Assembly. CBS News reports that Iran has executed 3 men convicted of involvement in anti-government protests that occurred in December and January. The Iranian judiciary's Mizan online website identified 2 of the executed, Mehdi Rasooli and Mohammad Reza Miri, as Mossad agents involved in January riots in Mashhad, accused of widespread violence and the death of a security force member using Molotov cocktails and bladed weapons and inciting others to kill. A third man, Ebrahim Dolatabadi, was also hanged for instigating Mashhad riots that claimed lives of security forces. These sentences were carried out after Supreme Court confirmation. Arrests and executions in Iran have reportedly been on the rise since a regional war triggered by a U.S.-Israeli attack began on February 28th. Authorities claim protests, initially peaceful, devolved into riots fomented by foreign powers like the U.S. and Israel, acknowledging over 3,000 deaths. Rights groups, including Iran Human Rights Monitor, indicate Iran is the world's second most prolific executioner after China, with hundreds executed this year alone. Concerns persist over trials conducted without due process, independent counsel, and reliance on forced confessions. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.